friends, welcome to my channel Languages with Kaur, and in today's video I am going to discuss about top 5 grammatical mistakes which candidates make in their speaking module in IELTS test. I would also suggest you some of the methods by which you can avoid these mistakes in your speaking and you can improve your performance. Well, I believe that before finding a solution to any of the problem, first of all, we need to be aware of the problem. We should ask these questions to ourselves that where does the problem exist? Why is it a problem? Or how can it affect my performance? After analyzing all these questions, then only we will be able to fix it properly. So let me mention here in this video, I'm just going to talk about the grammatical mistakes only. Otherwise, there are some other problematic areas, other errors which are found in the speaking module in the performance of the students. So let's start with the very first mistake. The most common mistake which is observed among the students is about the use of S or ES with the first form of the verb when they are framing the sentences in simple present tense. Either the students forget about the use of S or ES or they simply skip it. Now let's have a look. What does the rule say? Simple present tense, or sometimes we say present indefinite tense. This is the first tense of English grammar, and we start our learning about tenses from this very tense. This is the first tense of English grammar. According to the rule, there should be a subject, then verb should be there, and then object should be there, right? And when we are talking about the third person, we need to add S or ES with the verb. But when students are framing or making their sentences in present indefinite tense, they make this mistake of not adding S or ES with the verb. Now, what are the reasons? I think the very first reason is that students think that it is not necessary, it is not important to add S or ES with the verb. Or they simply think that it doesn't matter whether they are using S or ES with the verb or not. They think that if the other person is understanding their statement, understanding easily what they want to convey, what they want to express, then there is no need to emphasize on the use of S or ES. So this is the misconception in their mind, or they make this mistake unconsciously. They know the rule, but still there is lack of practice, you can say, and they forget to add S or ES when they are framing sentences. Now let's see an example. Here is the statement that he likes cats. In this statement, you can see there is a subject, verb, and object. Now we are talking about the third person, so there is S with the form of the verb. But sometimes students say it like that, he likes cats. They think their information is conveyed, their opinion is expressed. They think if they are skipping the use of S or ES, still the other person can understand what they want to say. So it should not be there. Let me discuss about some of the solutions for this problem. First solution is that you make a list of 10 questions for which the question demands answer in present indefinite tense. You can choose these questions such as what is the daily routine of your mother? Then you think about their answers, or you write down their answer, and then you try to speak about those answers. You pick 2 questions a day, you practice 2 questions a day, and for every question say at least 10 sentences in present indefinite tense, right? Now, when you are speaking, you need to slow down. You put extra effort or emphasize properly on the use of S or ES, and you say your sentences very consciously. If you practice such questions for a week, 2 questions a day, after a week you will find out that there is the improvement. Now your mistakes are reduced, and slowly and steadily those will completely vanish from your statements. Next solution is self-correcting strategy. Suppose you are answering to the examiner in present indefinite tense and mistake you skipped the use of S or ES. You can self-correct yourself at that time. You can repeat your sentence again by emphasizing properly on S or ES. Let's move to the second mistake, that is about the subject-verb agreement. And it is demanded that for the grammatical accuracy, both the subject and verb should agree in terms of number. Whether your noun is in plural form or it is in singular form, it will decide that which verb and how your verb is going to be used. Let's see an example. The statement is like that: children are playing. But sometimes mistakenly students are using is here, means they are using wrong or incorrect helping verb or verb. So if we are using is here, it will not be right according to grammar rules. So there would be no agreement between subject and verb. But if we are using are, it is making an agreement because are is used for plural nouns, for plural things. So this is the thing we need to maintain while making sentences. It is not very difficult while we are making the simple sentences, but it becomes tricky when we are framing sentences in compound form or in complex form, because those sentences are a bit longer. At times it can be seen there are 2 nouns or 3 nouns in a single sentence. So at that time it is difficult for you to choose the appropriate verb or helping verb. For example, when we talk about the indefinite pronouns, for example, our sentence starts with each, anyone, both, or you can say nothing, everyone. So sometimes it becomes problematic or it becomes difficult which verb to use, which helping verb to use. By practice you can learn about all these things. Let me give you an example. Now here is the statement: both of you dash happy. Am I supposed to use is here or are here? So I will be using are. Both of you are happy. There is one more example: each one of you dash intelligent. Am I going to use is here or are here? This is the decision you need to make while making the sentences. Here I will be using is. Each one of you is intelligent. If I would be using are here, it will be grammatically incorrect. I will give you one more example. There are sometimes there are collective nouns in our sentences. For example, if I say this sentence, you can see this sentence: audience dash very happy. Now you will think that in the audience there are many people, so I'm going to use are here. Audience are very happy, but it is a collective noun, although it appears to be in plural form, but actually it is a singular noun. We are going to use is here. The audience is happy. On the other hand, if the sentence is like this: the members of the audience dash happy, then we will be using are here. The members of the audience are happy because members are in plural form. Now what are the solutions? How can we overcome this problem in speaking? First of all, you should keep in mind that your verb or your helping verb which you are using in your sentence should agree with the very first noun of your sentence. Second thing is, you should give yourself time to learn about all those nouns which seem to be the plural ones, but actually those are singular nouns. You should learn about all the indefinite pronouns in English grammar and which helping verbs or verbs are used according to the demand of the sentence. This is the mistake number 2 which you need to avoid. Let's move to the mistake number 3. It is about the skipping of the use of the helping verb used to. So there is the provision in English grammar that you can use this helping verb used to when you are talking about past events which no longer exist. And when students are answering about those questions in which they are talking about past situations, past states, past activities, and those are not happening now, those used to happen in their past time only. So at that time they are supposed to make use of this helping verb used to and plus first form of the verb. The structure is like that: we use subject, then we put used to, then we write first form of the verb, and then object. Suppose a student is talking about his childhood. When we talk about our childhood, there are some of the things that we used to do in our childhood, but we don't do those activities now. Those do not happen now. So in this case, we can make use of this helping verb used to and plus form of the verb. Now many of you will ask me that why can't we make use of past tense or second form only? You definitely can make use of past tense and you can answer your question by using only second form, but you should be very careful that when you're talking about those activities, those actions which do not happen or do not exist, or you do not do those things now, or when you're talking about any person who used to do something else in his past and now he's not doing those things completely, so at that time you can make use of this helping verb used to. For example, if I say that he used to smoke, right, it means I'm saying that in the past he used to smoke but now he is not smoking. So with the use of this helping verb used to plus first form, I would be conveying my statement more clearly. I would be giving my facts more clearly. So my suggestion is, when you're talking about past events which no longer exist now, for those you should make use of this helping verb used to. Now let's move to the mistake number 4. It is about the use of singular plural in your English grammar. So you might think that we do not make these mistakes. Who can make this mistake about singular or plural? Because this is the very basic lesson of English grammar, but it happens. If the students are changing a singular noun to plural noun in a wrong way, sometimes students are just taught in their grammar lessons that by adding s or es, you can change any noun from singular form to plural form. In English grammar, there are some indefinite nouns as well, for which we can't apply this rule of adding just s or es to make it plural. But many of the students, out of the habit, try to make those nouns plural by adding s only. So let me give you the example. Here's the word child. While changing it into its plural form, sometimes what do students do? They just put extra s and they write childs. In their speaking, they are saying childs are playing, childs are enjoying. So instead of using children, the right plural form of child is children. So they should replace child with children and they should not put just s there. There is the noun women, women. When they are changing its plural, they just simply add s, women's. In speaking, they say women's, but we simply replace man with men to make it plural. And for the next word, many of you could relate that you unconsciously make this mistake. The noun is people, and it is already in the plural form, but when students want to say that there were many persons there, they make it peoples. Peoples were doing. They think we can make it plural by adding s, peoples. There are some irregular plurals as well in English grammar. For example, there is the word news. In its singular form, it is news. In its plural form, it is news. But sometimes students say newses. They think that they are making it plural, and they are saying love to watch newses on the television. Means he or she is making it plural by adding es. But this word is already in its plural form, and in singular form we also say news. For example, the word life, wife, knife. Definitely we add s or es, but we are also replacing f with the v. So for the life word, the plural form is lives. For the wife word, the plural form is wives. So this is the mistakes mostly students make while changing the plural forms of some of the nouns. So solution for that is, you should not only learn about this rule that by adding s or es you can make plural form of anything, of any noun. You should also learn about the irregular plural forms in English grammar. You should learn about all those words for which we can't make plural forms just by adding s or es. So it will definitely work for you. Finally, there is the last mistake which is commonly observed in the speaking performance of IELTS test takers, and that is about the use of past tense, simple past tense. Now the rule of simple past tense says when you are talking about past events or past actions, you can use second form of the verb with subject and object, and you can explain your things. When the non-native speakers of English language try to speak in English, what they do most of the times is, firstly, they think about the statement in their minds in their mother language. Then they try to translate that sentence in English, and then they say that sentence. And in this translation process, the things get wrong. Now, in the rule, there is no use of helping verbs in when we talk about the simple past tense. There is just the use of in positive sentences we just use the second form, and in negative we use did not plus first form. So there is no use of helping verbs such as was and were. The non-native speakers think that how can we make sentence without the use of any helping verb? When we are making sentences about past time, we need to make use of was and were. It is deeply ingrained in their minds that without the use of was and were, we can't make tenses about past. For example, there is the sentence, my mother cooked food. It is about past. My mother cooked food. But they think that how can we make a sentence without was, without were, if we are making sentences about past? Because in their grammar lessons, they are taught about the use of was and were when they are talking about past. So they add was or were here in these types of sentences. They will usually make this sentence like this: my mother was cooked food. So the use of was is completely unnecessary here because they are not aware of the rule. So that's why they are adding extra was and were in their sentence. So here is one more example. The sentence is like this: we visited the zoo last week. Some of the students are adding helping verb here and they are making sentences like, for example, for this sentence they would say, we were visited the zoo last week. They think without the use of was and were, the sentences about past are incomplete. And solution for this is, again, as I suggested you in the very first mistake, that you make a list of questions for which the answer is in past tense, and you say your answers in at least 10 sentences, and in all those 10 sentences make use of the second form, and you should have good knowledge of the past participle of all the verbs, main verbs of the English, so that you do not make any mistake while talking about past tense. Friends, as per my experience, I commonly see these mistakes when students are practicing for IELTS, and the English is their second or third language. It is not their mother language. So non-native speakers of English usually make these types of mistakes while they make conversations or they are expressing their views and opinions. So I hope this video will help you to understand these types of mistakes, and you can be more careful while performing in your speaking test. So try to eliminate all these types of mistakes in your speaking. Not give your teacher a chance to pinpoint all these types of mistakes frequently, or you don't give chance to the examiner to deduct your band score on the basis of these mistakes. So I would request you all to please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so that you can get notification of my next video. Until now, you guys have supported me greatly. So I hope in the future you will keep on supporting me. Thank you so much.